All right, today we're going to be taking an adventure in 1 Corinthians. Hallelujah. Let's jump right in. And what do this thing always works better when you turn it on for some reason. All right. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. Can I first read 1 Corinthians 9, 1 through 6, please?
Am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Have I not seen Yahushua or Adonai? Are not ye my works in the Adonai? If I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I am to you. For the seal of mine apostleship are ye in the Adonai. Mine answer to them that do examine me in this. Have we not power to eat and to drink? Have we not power to leave about a sister, a wife, as well as other apostles? And as the brethren of Adonai and Cephas? Or I only and Barnabas, have we not power to forbear working?
Okay, here it is. We have Apostle Paul pleading with the Corinthians, stating his apostleship, saying, am I not an apostle? And of course he was, and am I not free? And of course he was. And have I not seen Yahushua or our Adonai? And of course he did. And are not ye my work in the Adonai? And of course they were. And he even goes as far as saying, I'll be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I'm an apostle to you. Mm-hmm. For the seal of mine apostleship are in ye in the Adonai. My answer to them that do examine me is this. There's some, that was questioning as to, what was up with Paul, if he even even had all his scruples. Not scruples, but all his marbles. We even had one king that was, telling them, hey, Paul, all your learning has made thee mad. Some of them think they just didn't know how to take Brother Paul. He had all his marbles. Everything was there. And, so undoubtedly them going around spreading this, will cause some confusion amongst even the places that he established. And this is kind of what was going on here in Corinthians. And so here it is, he's saying, mine answer to them that do examine me is this. Have we not power to eat and drink? Have we not power to lead about a sister or wife as well as other apostles and as the brethren of the Adonai and Cephas? They were married, and, they done these things. And he was saying, we can do these things too. They just chose not to. And in verse 6 he says, or I only and Barnabas have not we power to forbear working? They were working for a living. Many of the others were not working for a living. They were just, doing the ministry, and they were living off of the ministry. And, there's nothing wrong with that, but Paul and Barnabas chose not to. And, I've even patterned myself after Paul and Barnabas. It says, have not we power to forbear working? Acts 18 tells us what they were doing. It says, after these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Yahudim named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all the Yahudim to depart from Rome, and came unto them. And because he was of the same craft, he abode with them and wrought, for by their occupation they were tent makers. Mm-hmm. Hallelujah. And y'all had me meditating on this a long time ago, and what an awesome occupation to be a tent maker. I kind of, even look to myself as being a tent maker. You know, because a tent is simply a tabernacle, and that's exactly what he was doing. He was making tabernacles for Yahushua to dwell in. He was making tabernacles for Yah to dwell in, temporary dwellings for Yah to dwell in, you know, which is a beautiful thing. You know, we need more tent makers who know how to make proper tents. You know, so here it is. Paul is, you know, stating that him and Barnabas, they were working, they were making tents for a living, you know, providing their own way. He goes on to say in verse 7, who go up for warfare at any time at his own charges? Who planteth a vineyard and eateth not of the fruit thereof? Who feedeth a flock and eateth not the milk of the flock? Now this word charges is Upsonion, number 3800, meaning rations for a soldier. So what Paul is saying, he's saying he's going to war. He's a soldier, you know, that goes to war and that pays for his own rations. You know, that's pretty honorable. And then he says in verse 8 and 9, he says, say I these things as a man, or saith not the Torah the same also? For it is written in the Torah of Moshe, thou shalt not muzzle the mouth of the ox that treadeth out the corn. Doeth Elohim take care for oxen? And, you know, he's quoting Deuteronomy 25:4, which of course says, thou shalt not muzzle the ox which treadeth out the corn. You know, so Paul's question is, doeth Elohim take care for the oxen? Or saith he it all together for our sakes? As he was saying in verse 10. For our sakes, no doubt, this is written, that he that ploweth should plow in hope, and that he that thresheth in hope should be partaker of this hope. If we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things? If others be partaker of this power over you, are not we rather? Nevertheless, we have not used this power, but suffering all things, lest we should hinder the gospel of Messiah. Do ye not know that they which minister about the holy things live of the things of the temple? And they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar? Even so hath the Adonai ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. Nothing wrong with that. He goes on to say, but I have used none of these things. Neither have I written these things that it should be so done unto me. You know, so he's saying, you know, I'm not writing this to say that you need to start doing it. For it were better for me to die than that any man should make my glorying void. For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yea, woe is me if I preach not the gospel. For if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward. But if against my will, a dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me. What is my reward then? Verily that I preach the gospel, that I may make the gospel of Messiah without charge, that I abuse not my power in the gospel. Now, you know, lest one might get confused as to what power he's talking about, you know, his power in the gospel. You know, some may think that, you know, he's talking about power to cast out demons or lay hands on the sick or, you know, something to that effect. You know, the dunamis power that we read about in the Brit Kadashah. But this is not the power that he's speaking of. This word power is exousia in the Greek, number 1849, and it means liberty. It speaks to freedom and power of choice. So he's saying that I not abuse my liberty in the gospel, that I abuse not my freedom in the gospel, that I abuse not my power of choice in the gospel. He don't want to abuse his power of choice, you know, to partake of these things. You know, even though he can, he don't want to abuse that power. He'd rather not that there's no hindrance to the gospel. And we can see now today how such hindrances come into play. You know, many people don't even want to go to church because they feel like they're just the sheep being fleeced. You know, they feel as though, you know, that's all that they want. That's all that they're about. You know, and truly they're hindering the gospel. you know, when they're abusing that power, when people start, you know, feeling that way, and it actually is so. Romans 6:14 through 18. It says, it speaks of this liberty, this freedom, this power of choice that we have in Messiah. See, because we do have liberty in the Messiah. We do have freedom. We have power of choice. You know, and again, you know, people oftentimes abuse this power of choice, this freedom that we have. Romans 6:14 through 18, for sin shall not have dominion over you, for ye are not under the law, but under grace. You know, we have freedom, liberty from being under the law. We're not under law, but under grace. What then? Shall we sin? Because we are not under the law, but under grace? Elohim forbid. See, we're not to abuse the liberty that we have in Yahushua. Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are in whom ye obey? Whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness. See, we're not to abuse our liberty in Messiah. You know, if we choose to serve sin, then we're going to do so unto death. But if we choose to obey, see, and the thing is, we're not under the curse, so we're not under the law, so the curse does not apply. See, prior to the Messiah and the work that he done, the people who was walking in the way of Yah, they were under the curse. They were under Torah, and they were under the curse. The curse did apply. In other words, they were those who were leadership of the Yahudim could literally take. They could actually take a believer and they could persecute them. You know, they could even crucify them, as they did the Messiah, as they did his apostles and many other martyrs. See, and they could do this because, you know, they had an agreement with the ruling government that was over them, which was Rome. You know, Caesar was a king of kings. He still allowed the Yahudim to have their own king and to have their own government, which of course was subject to Rome, but they pretty much got to do what they wanted to do, and when they wanted to persecute someone, they got a chance to do that as well. You know, so even though we had a liberty not to be up under the curse of the law, so there's nothing there to make us do it. You know, if we decide not to keep Shabbat today, there's no one going to show up at our house and drag us to the edge of town and stone us. You know, but we're not to abuse our power in the gospel. We're not to abuse our liberty in the gospel, knowing that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey. Whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness. And verse Romans 6:17, but Elohim be thanked and Elohim be thanked that ye were the servants of sin, but ye have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you, being made free from sin, ye became servants of righteousness. You know, so we're to serve righteousness now today. We're to serve righteousness. We're not to abuse the power that we have in the good news, in the gospel. But we are to serve righteousness with our liberty in Yahshua. I think I did that already. What do we leave out? 18? Okay, I got mixed up somewhere up in there. But we'll pick it up here at verse 18, right? What is my reward then? Verily that when I preach the gospel, I may make the gospel of Messiah without charge, that I abuse not my power in the gospel. For though I be free from all men yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more. You know, so here it is. We have Apostle Paul saying, for though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more. See, he knew something. He knew the principles of the kingdom. He knew what Yahushua had taught. And we're going to take a look at what he knew. And this is found in Mark 10, 42 through 45. You know, my next reader, please.
But Yeshua called to him and said unto them, Ye know that they which are accounted to rule over the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and the great ones exercise authority upon them. But so shall it not be among you, but whosoever will be great among you shall be a minister, and whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all. For even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many.
Okay, so here it is. Yeshua is telling them, ye know that they which are accounted to rule over the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and that their great ones exercise authority upon them. But so shall it not be among you. But whosoever will be great among you shall be your minister. And whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all. For even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many. See, this is a principle that Paul understood. This is why he says, but though I be free from all men, yet I've made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more. He's trying to be the chiefest. He's trying to be, you know, one of the top. He's striving for the high prize, as he would say elsewhere. You know, by making himself their minister and the minister of everyone. See, he understood the principles of the kingdom, you know, and we need to understand the principles of the kingdom. You know, many of us subscribe to be great in the kingdom, but we have to know the principles that's involved in order for us to become great in the kingdom. You know, we can't do things our way and think that, you know, we're going to be great in the kingdom. You know, and unfortunately, you know, we see just the opposite of this being done, you know, oftentimes. We see folks, you know, really doing just what he said not to do. Exercising lordship, and great ones exercising authority upon them. You know, they've lost the heart to minister somewhere along the line. They've lost the heart to serve somewhere along the line. You know, but Yeshua, no one ministered unto him. He was minister for everyone. He laid down his life for all of us. You know, and so, you know, we have to learn the principles of the kingdom, and that's a very important principle there. Goes on, verse 20 and 24, and says, unto the Yahudim I became as a Yahudim, that I might gain the Yahudim. To them that are under the law as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. To them that are without the law, as without the law, being not without law to Elohim, but under the law to Messiah. You know, and I highlighted that as without law because, you know, that's very important, you know, because many people nowadays, they just want to be lawless. You know, they just want to be without law, period. Yeah. You know, and this is not what Paul was saying at all. He said to them that are without law as without law, but not being without law, just appearing to be without law. Being not without law, he says, to Elohim, but under the law to Messiah, that I might gain them that are without the law. To the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I have made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. And this I do for the gospel's sake, that I might be partaker thereof with you. Know ye not that they which run in a race shall run off, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain it. You know, that's a very interesting statement. You know, that everyone that's in the race, they're running that they might obtain the prize, but everyone can't win. You know, I don't know if you guys ever seen a marathon on TV, and it's just like hundreds of runners. You know, just, you know, I mean, they're not even lined up. I mean, there's just so many of them, they can't even line up, you know, and I always wondered how fair was that too, you know, because here it is, you have some that starting like way back, you know. I'm like, well, it seems like the one in the front has an advantage. But anyhow, I guess they work it out some kind of way. But point being, all those folks running, there can only be one winner. You know, and this is what Paul is speaking of. Know ye that not that they which run a race run off, but one receiveth the prize. So we need to run that ye may obtain. We have to run like we're trying to win the race. You know, we have to serve like we're trying to win the race. You know, and the Messiah, he spoke to this in Matthew 7:21 through 23. My next reader, please.
Not everyone that saith unto me, Adonai, Adonai, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
See, and this is huge. This is a huge passage here. You know, and this is kind of what Apostle Paul was speaking to. You know, everyone's running the race, but everyone won't win. You know, Messiah saying, not everyone that saith unto me, Adonai, Adonai. Just because you call me Adonai, you know, don't make me your Adonai. That's what he's saying, you know, indirectly. You know, not everyone that saith unto me, Adonai, Adonai, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. What is the will of his Father? Even the word of Elohim. Even Torah, the prophets and the writings. You know, even the Brit Hadashah, the whole of Scripture is the will of the Father. Because even the things that the Messiah said, he said he only said what the Father told him to say. He only done what the Father told him to do. You know, so even in that, you know, and you know, he only did the will of the Father. So the will of the Father is entailed within Scripture. You know, and this is why it says that Yeshua came in the volume of the book. And as he came in the volume of the book, we likewise are to walk in the volume of the book. See, but so many people want to throw out half the book. Yeah, actually it is more than half. You know, but you know, and the problem is, you know, they don't even want to just adhere to the royal law as Yaakov would put it, or James, or even the law of faith as Paul would put it. They want to be lawless. They don't want to adhere to anybody's law. You know, that's of divine nature anyhow. You know, but you know, they adhere to the laws of Rome, but they don't want to adhere to the laws of Yah. As long as Rome says it's okay, it's okay. But if Yah says it's not okay, then well, you know, he knows my heart. You know, but the Messiah says that they'll come saying, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in thy name? It's not about prophecies. You know, you can prophesy all day long, and you know, and hey, and you know, your prophecies can come to pass. That's not going to get you into the kingdom. It's not going to get you in. They prophesied in his name. And in thy name cast out devils. You can cast out all the devils you want. They can flee when they see you step on the scene. They can know your name and run from you, but that's not going to get you into the kingdom. But we thank you for helping. And in thy name done many wonderful works, and do all the wondrous works that you want. That's not going to get you into the kingdom. Because Yeshua says in verse 23, and then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Now that's cold right there. That's, he didn't say I used to know you, and we fell out. He ain't say that, once upon a time we was cool, or, I met you along the way. He said, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. This word iniquity means lawlessness. And that's why, I make such a big deal of that, because it is a big deal. Because except your righteousness exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, ye shall by no means enter into the kingdom of Elohim. Torah was the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees. So if you just threw that out, you're not even going to have their righteousness. So how, and then you throw out Yeshua's righteousness, his teachings and instructions, you're without any righteousness. How do you know if you're working iniquity if you don't know what iniquity is? See, because Torah exists to show us what sin is. The scripture even teaches that sin is transgression of Torah. So you can't even know what sin is without knowing Torah, but yet many wants to throw Torah out the window. Not cool. Because they're going to hear, I never knew you, depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So this is a very strong admonition I'm trying to get across. Because if you don't get that, all your running is in vain. All your running is in vain. You're going to get to, even if you be the first one at the finish line, you're going to hear the official say, disqualified. Now, how would you like to run a marathon, win the marathon, and then get disqualified? Wrong type of gym shoes on. That's not good. 1 Corinthians 9:25 through 27. My next reader, please.
And every man that striveth for the mystery of is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain the corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway.
Okay. Again, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. Now what does he mean when he says every man that striveth for mastery, striving to win that race, being temperate? Temperate is it gratuomai. Yeah, sounds like Greek. Number 1467, meaning to exercise self-restraint. And if you know any athletes or you watch TV and you watch a movie about athletes, you see that they exercise great self-restraint. They're constantly training their bodies. They're constantly, exercising self-restraint and not eating too much. Keeping their weight down, keeping their muscles lean. Or whatever entails within their particular sport or mastery, if you would. It's no different with this race we're running. We also have to exercise self-restraint. It's no different. We also have to be temperate. We have to exercise self-restraint in all things. So much so that Paul says, I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection. See, this is what we have to do. We have to keep our body, under. We got to hold it down and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. God forbid I don't want to be a castaway after, all this servitude, this life of servitude, just to find out that, go away for I never knew you. You work of iniquity. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's what I want to hear. So, I like unto Paul, try to keep my body down, bring it up into subjection. Paul spoke about this elsewhere in Colossians 3:5-10. He says, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth. Fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry, for which things sake the wrath of Elohim come on the children of disobedience, in the which ye also walk sometime. Yeah, in which ye also walk sometime. No one was immune to it. When ye lived in them. No one was born in the Messiah. It's a choice. We have to, start serving from the time that we make that choice. But now ye also put off all these things: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. Yah would never say he didn't know you if you look like he looked. If you do the things that he done, if you walk in the places that he walked, if you walk in the way that he walked, if you speak the way he spoke, you'll be able to look down and say, hey, that's one of mine. Look at him, look just like me. Look, acting just like me. You hear what he said? Sounds just like me. When you look down and see us doing everything under the sun that is not like him, he knows which one we are as well. I don't know that one. So we should strive to put off that old man with his deeds and to put on that new man, which should be renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. Well, that's all, folks.
Hallelujah.